Yeah, this sounds like some after the show talk.
Yeah, perhaps so. All right, so going back into current events, and I've got to pull the conversation back in this direction only because I wasn't through sufficiently irritating CJ yet. Just earlier this week, Brad Sherman, he's a representative of California, actually represents the San Fernando Valley, threw his hat into the ring and has actually drafted articles of impeachment and filed them against President Trump. And Fluker, you and I were talking about this earlier because you were saying you thought that had already happened. And no, there was another U.S. representative, and that was a Democrat from Texas, Al Green, who was talking about wanting to start the impeachment process, but he didn't actually do it.
Oh, man, I love his R&B tracks.
Not the same Al Green. That was a reverend, by the way, not a representative. They're different, you know. All right.
Well,
so,
not always.
Let's get it on.
So we've got 2 Democrats so far.
It's Marvin Gaye, dude. What are you talking about?
Me and my brain don't get along. He's always getting me in trouble.
So yeah, now they're serious. They've actually filed the paperwork to start the process for the articles of impeachment. Although it's already been acknowledged that it won't happen quickly. But apparently Sherman made this prediction that before 2020, we'll have a new president. That was his prediction.
Doubt it.
Wait, so before the next election?
Before the next election. That's basically what it boils down to. Before the next election. Really? Now, why is that?
That doesn't seem that lofty
because
a goal.
They're all a bunch of cowards, and he's not doing that bad of a job.
Trump isn't doing that bad of a job?
Not that bad.
I mean...
let me qualify that statement. He's not doing a bad job of doing the things he said he was going to do. Okay.
I would be interested to know more about the last time a president was actually impeached.
I don't think it's ever happened, except like way back in the 1800s or something like that.
It has happened. I think it's twice. And what would have been the third time would have been Nixon, but he resigned before then.
Mm.
It wasn't... Well, there was a couple of them being killed.
Yeah, that's
Adams
assassinated.
that was in a duel? No, it was assassinated. One of them was in a duel. 2 of them were assassinated.
That's a hardcore impeachment.
Yeah, right? I don't like you. 10 paces and we turn. Slowly I turned.
You need like
step by step.
Somebody racking a shotgun.
I bet you Joe's on Wikipedia right now looking up how many presidents have been assassinated.
I am trying to look it up, but no, I'm not on.
You need one of those sound bites of a shotgun being racked. Like, time for impeachment.
That's a great name for a movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so Andrew Johnson
was impeached. Okay, I thought
Bill Clinton.
I thought it was. He wasn't impeached.
Yes, he was.
Bill Clinton.
They tried to impeach him.
No,
but
he
they didn't
was
do it.
impeached.
No, he was not.
He was impeached.
He served 2 complete terms.
He wasn't. Just because you get impeached doesn't mean you're removed from office.
That's the process. Right. Okay. No, they had impeachment proceedings. He did. I think to be officially impeached, you actually have to be removed.
Okay.
That's what I understood.
Did I just lose my...
Yeah, you're not the only one, so I have no idea why, but...
Because Joe broke it.
It's just been one of those days.
Oh, well.
That's Donald Trump hacking our signal.
He turned us mono.
He doesn't want to be impeached.
Yeah.
He's like, we got to stop this fake news propagating. Shut down the feed.
It wouldn't surprise me, as a matter of fact. Well, okay, so CJ is on the record as saying that he doesn't think that Trump was doing that bad, and I guess he doesn't actually want to see Trump impeached.
No, I do not think that we are going to see another president before 2020. I just don't see it. The only way I see that happening is if somebody kills him.
Okay, and we're not promoting that, by the way. Let me put that out there right now. That is not what we're suggesting. But so not only do you not see it happening, you're not for it happening. The impeachment, by the way. Let me
qualify.
Yeah,
that.
let me be 100% clear.
Well, before I say that.
Okay.
No, I'll go ahead and put it out there. I would need to know why. What is he being impeached for? What is he being accused of?
Well, at this point,
because we don't like him.
There's all kinds of. Well, no, there's the situation with the Russians and the fact that apparently he is somehow connected to them in their attempts to get him elected.
Okay, so
And that's still all
That-
under investigation.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the same FBI director that he fired because the FBI director did not want to be in his back pocket said that the investigation basically didn't show anything. So the fact that they're still pushing this whole Russia angle is silly, number one. Number two, there is not a single politician on Capitol Hill that does not have some type of relationship with the Russians. And I would say most of them probably have some type of shady relationship with the Russians.
I wouldn't argue that, but they're also not in the highest position in the land.
You don't think Barack had shady relationships with Russians? Did you ever see that video that he did with when he was sitting? I forget where they were, but it was him and I think it was Putin. It might have been the other one. Who was the one before Putin?
Gorbachev.
No, that was long before Putin. But where
He
it was
was, in
during
fact, before
his
Putin.
it was during his it was right before his second election, and he was basically saying, I can't really do anything right now because I've got an election coming up, but after that, we can do pretty much whatever you want. There was a soundbite of him doing that. So I don't like that because I don't like hypocrisy like that. I can understand, like, if I tell you, hey, you shouldn't be eating all those Cheez-Its, and I eat a lot of Cheez-Its, I can see, I can be considered hypocrisy. But when you have the ability and the authority to exercise power as the most powerful person or as the representatives of the most powerful nation in the world, be it senator, assembly members, or whoever it is, and you exercise that power because someone is doing the same thing you're doing, that I have a problem with.
What if
because
you
you're
look
now
like-
taking your hypocrisy and you're executing it using authority as my representative.
What if you look like you are a Cheez-It?
I can't argue with that. If they want to impeach him for having bad hair, I'm all in.
A Cheez-It skin?
Yeah, and Cheez-It skin, yes. We have got to create a meme that's a Donald Trump Cheez-It. Don't anybody else take that.
I'm sure you can Google that right now.
You're probably right.
I mean, generic search engine that.
Hashtag generic streaming service.
So by the way, it was Yeltsin.
Generic hashtag. Yeltsin, yes,
was
it was
the
Yeltsin.
president before Putin.
I don't know if it was. It might have been with. It might actually have been with Putin. But there is online. I don't know if it's still on there because this stuff does get purged. Where Barack and they were sitting. They were at a press conference. They were both mic'd, and it was before the event went live or during one of the breaks or something like that, where they were negotiating on this stage. And he was talking about the things he could and could not do until he got past the election.
Well,
And I'm saying that to say this. Anybody who does not believe that any other nation on this planet, and I would put it not only as the so-called enemies, Russia, North Korea, China, all these other ones, but our allies, all actively attempt to influence our elections. Every single one of them. Everybody has a stake in who runs this country.
So this brings up another interesting conversation right here. The Russians, there's apparently no disputing that the Russians did try to at least disseminate some misleading or potentially misleading information in an attempt to move voters in the direction of Trump.
yeah.
So to some degree, they attempted to tamper with the election by
No.
hacking
To some
the internet.
degree, they did
Okay.
tamper.
So should we be concerned about that? Should we be trying to stop that in the future? Or
Anybody who has had any rudimentary experience with internet security, networking, or any of that other stuff, anybody who's had to do any kind of IT work knows for a fact that that is just standard operating procedure. Nations attack nations, companies attack companies, and most of the money and everything that gets spent by everybody is usually to secure your data and secure your lines. So that, to sit here and say, should we try to do that? We do that all the time. And on top of that, we are the worst offender of doing that in other countries. And we do it better than every other country because what people seem to forget is that the
USA.
internet was a military
USA.
weapon before it became this thing that everybody thinks is just the wild, wild west. And we're getting mad because they're trying to clamp down on the internet. But it was funded by the government as a national security tool to communicate amongst the different military platforms
Right.
and other scientific endeavors,
Right,
which
that's
were
what it
basically
was-
used to
how
create
it was
all that
created
other
in the
stuff.
first place.
Yeah, so let's not sit here and act like America is not guilty. So there again, I have this issue with hypocrisy. If we don't like the man because of his politics, we don't like the man because of his ideology, then you've really got to dig in and find something he's doing wrong. And I'm sure that if you look hard enough, you might find something. Whether or not it's an impeachable offense, I don't know. But to sit here and go after the person simply because he beat the lame candidate you put up against him, because nobody wanted to take him seriously, because people who live close to water think that the people who live in the middle of the country are not smart, because every time you hear an argument in any of these rallies, they always say people in middle America are all racists, they're all homophobes, they're all crackpots. People get tired of hearing that crap. And I, as an African-American male, have been guilty of that. I'll pull the race card once in a while. I don't do it nearly on the level that, say, a Black Lives Matter person would do it. And I just don't see...
Why are you motioning over here?
It's just the right hand. Or half the Black Lives Matter.
Half Black Lives.
But
Half Black Lives Matter.
the thing is, people have completely abdicated their responsibility. And if they're going to impeach him for anything, they're going to have to impeach him for doing what he said he was going to do, for being better at everything they thought they were beating him at. That's all he's guilty of right now. He did everything they do better than they do it because he did not play their game. He used their weapons against them. Think about this.
I saw you rolling your eyes over there,
You could basically
Fluker.
say that Donald Trump won this election using social media. You could say that.
Half Black Lives? Black...
Really? That's what you got stuck on?
Wait, I just want to make sure that doesn't come out wrong. Because I don't want to make it sound like I want half of black people killed.
Well, do you?
Half Black Lives? Half Black.
I don't know where I was going with that.
I'm not
But
sure either.
all I'm saying is, what was the accusation? What are they accusing him of doing? If it's the Russia thing, they're barking up the wrong tree and they're wasting time. If you want something, go get something, because there's something there. But if you do it, here's the other problem they're going to run into.
Wait,
and I think this is the only reason why they...
Let's look
You're
at
saying something here. First of all, I don't know what you're... Yeah, I don't keep up with this stuff too much, but you're saying that Comey, who is the FBI's director...
Yes.
You're saying that people said that... he said that his investigation basically yielded nothing.
That's what he said.
But then, in the next breath, you're admitting that there is definitely something there.
Well, there
to
must
be
have been.
found.
Otherwise,
No.
Comey
Okay.
wouldn't have been canned.
No, that's not why he was canned. They were very specific. Comey said why he was canned. He released all of his memos and everything. He leaked his own information to the press because he didn't want Trump to write the narrative. But in so doing, he actually cleared Trump of all the stuff people were trying to say. And CNN especially and they're still beating this same war drum, and it's just not working because it's just not true. If they really wanted people to turn on Trump, rather than talking about the things he may have done or is thinking about doing, all you really have to do is go look at the thing he is doing. People don't like the things he's actually doing. Talk about that. If you really care, talk about how you feel about his issues when it comes to education, when it comes to the environment, the fact that the head of Exxon,
but you can't,
the former head of Exxon, is one of his...
a president.
You can, absolutely.
No, you cannot recall.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
It's never been done, but...
It's absolutely possible.
No, it's not, because
Yes,
they'll just
it
change the
is.
rules like they're doing over here in California.
And until the American citizenry is ready to stand up, particularly the left, and the problem that they're going to run into is the only way they're really going to be able to win this fight, and this is something that nobody wants to deal with. You literally are biting the hand that feeds you. When you go after the government, the first thing they do is they start to clamp down on all the services. And they say, oh, well, we can't provide these services because we're being attacked. Oh, we got to straighten it and tighten it and tighten it and tighten it until you have to plead for those services. You can just go look back at the whole civil rights movement. When you hear about the whole thing about the bus boycott, that wasn't for a week. That wasn't for 2 weeks. These people walked to and from work for months and years. Who do you know that is willing, say, if I lived in the Valley and I worked in West LA, how long am I going to go without being able to get in my car on a freeway to go there?
Okay, I recognize that would be a major hardship, but the people that were
And no one wants to do it.
No rollerblade.
But the people that you were citing dealing with those situations back then weren't trying to make that kind of a commute.
Yes, they were, because they lived in the black side of the state or the black side of the city and had to go to the white side of the city. And the lines that they were relegated to were these specific bus lines or these specific roads. And it was dangerous because if they got off of those lines or off of those roads, they might not only get to their destination, but might not get back home that night. Because number one, they're not on that bus and on that road like they're supposed to be to go over to this house and serve these people. In a Jim Crow era, in an era where lynching was a pastime. So let's be serious about this. If you're serious about these issues, you're going to have to suck it up. You're going to have to do without your Wi-Fi. You're going to have to pass on your Starbucks. You're going to have to get out of your Prius and walk if you really are serious about the environment. These people aren't serious. These are hashtag protesters. And unless they're really willing to get out there and seriously do it and take it a step further, unless they're really willing to actually take up arms, which is a direct contradiction to what they believe, they're not going to be able to do it.
Is he advocating a militia?
I'm not advocating it. The United States Constitution advocates it. I don't have to advocate it. All I'm saying is, if you want your rights, stand up for all of your rights, not half of them.
Okay, so if CJ's not with us next Friday night, you'll know why. It's the CIA took him out.
I'm not worried about it. I don't think they're worried about me. They'll just write me off as crazy. Everybody else does.
I could vouch for that.
Absent from the body, present with the Lord. I do not fear them.
I mean, I saw him.
Make sure I
just saw him eat a dry hamburger on the way here.
Yeah.
It was good, though.
I'm going to stay a few feet back from him when we're walking down the street the next couple of weeks or months or so. Just,
who eats a hamburger without ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, relish?
Yeah, but you'll take all that stuff and just swirl it together and make it into mush. That's
to a delicious topping, more like. That you could put on anything.
I've seen
somehow that seems like a metaphor for this entire discussion.
I've seen CJ eat food that has been like sitting out for a week.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Come on, the FDA pads those expiration dates.
Hey,
right?
You've already scraped off the mold. You might as well go the whole yard.
Yeah. Okay. So on that note,
chop up some cilantro and put that on there.
Yeah. It's really about time for us to be closing up the store tonight.